have never made any revenue. We have no current plans to make revenue. We have no idea how we may one day generate revenue. We have made a soft promise to investors that once we've built this sort of generally intelligent system, basically we will ask it to figure out a way to generate an investment return for you. It sounds like an episode of Silicon Valley. It really does. I get it. You can laugh. It's all right. But it is what I actually believe.
I love it. He's like, that's not a joke, people. That was Sam Altman. That's the guy behind ChatGPT. That was actually 4 years ago. No one heard of ChatGPT then. Now we all have. And if you haven't yet, well, here's your introduction. Joe Allen is here. He's the Transhumanism editor at War Room. Joe, wonderful to talk to you, brother.
Mike, very glad to be here. Thank you very much.
We got lots to break down here, so please talk down to me. Talk to me like I'm a third grader. What is ChatGPT?
ChatGPT is a chatbot. It's a large language model that just simply means that it uses statistical models to predict what the next sentence or the next sentence in a paragraph or the next word in a sentence might be. What's amazing about it is that using these algorithms via a neural network, a sort of virtual brain, you could say, loosely, it's able to produce answers to questions that are coherent, oftentimes accurate, generally grammatically correct. And what that means, to the extent that it's accurate, a chatbot is very useful for students who are doing research or anyone on a research project, or just the general consumer to ask it a question about anything that you might ask, say, Google about. What it also means is that because of this sort of natural banter that it evokes, you get a human-machine interaction that is a lot more intimate, a lot deeper. And in my view, these sorts of technologies, these chatbots or large language models, are pushing us closer and closer to that sort of human-AI symbiosis that transhumanists have long dreamt of. You have now a system in which you will ask the bot, you'll ask the AI deep questions about reality, and a lot of people will trust that that response is both accurate and in some sense benevolent.
Oh, okay. This is so important because how long has Google been around? 15 years or so? And if you think about it, that's actually pretty primitive, where you type in a question and it gives you a bunch of websites. You're still having to filter, which is like a good thing though, but you're like, from their perspective, it's bad because you're still having to think, filter, scroll, find, click a couple windows. It's a process. But what you're saying here is you can now type in something and it just gives you the answer, streamlining that whole process. Is that accurate?
That's right. And in general, I think that's the way most of these tech companies are trying to move. You know, OpenAI created ChatGPT, you know, from their GPT system, generative pre-trained transformer. And this GPT system has improved steadily. GPT-3 was pretty incredible. Now GPT 3.5, or what we know as ChatGPT, has shown a lot of promise, not only in the technical capabilities, but in the way it has grabbed the public imagination. So now you have Google, of course, jumping into the fray with Bard, although it really flopped so far. You also have Chinese company Baidu. They're jumping in. I think that because of this natural interaction and because it saves a lot of time, the machine, in essence, does your thinking for you. All of these tech companies want to move in that direction.
Yes. So take us, I like how you said transhumanism, because people need to know what this is, because these Silicon Valley people, this is their ultimate goal. So let's jump all the way to the end. Let's jump to their ultimate dystopian, I would say, sci-fi vision of transhumanism. And then we can kind of connect some dots and see where we are on that path. Because this ChatGPT is definitely another step, as you said. And I'm curious how many more steps we have to go. But where is the go? What's the ultimate goal here for these people?
Very basically, transhumanism is the desire to merge human beings with technology, to merge humans with machines. A big part of this is to create machines that have human level intelligence or also human level capabilities to manipulate the physical world. It also means augmenting human beings gradually, or once the technology is there, they hope, suddenly, so that human beings increase their biological intelligence and biological dexterity and strength and beauty and so forth, as these machines also come closer and closer to parity with human beings. So transhumanism is the idea that we as human beings are in transition towards a goal. Those in the singularity camp see that we're on a path towards a moment in history in which machines are both more intelligent than human beings and also more capable physically of enacting their will than human beings. And therefore, human beings will no longer really be able to comprehend the output of the machines, nor will we really be able to control it, which is why you hear a lot about AI alignment. It's the idea that if we align these artificial intelligences with human will now, by the time they reach this sort of godlike state, they will be benevolent gods. Mo Gaudat at Google, the former chief business officer, described Google system as God as a child, basically. And that's how a lot of these people see it. Views are very diverse, but it's sort of a heterodox religion that sits at the core of many of the projects in Silicon Valley, and then by extension in China, also India, Israel, all over Europe. So this is a very prevalent, if diffuse, ideology.
Yeah, well, these people generally do not believe in God, so it makes sense that they're trying to replace God with this. You said something earlier that when the ChatGPT churns something out, and I've done it, it's free for now, and I've typed in, like, I give pro-life speeches around the country, so I said, write a pro-life speech from the perspective of, and I just tried all these different things. I did like goofy ones, like from a Western perspective, and it started with like, howdy y'all, pro-life, and it was like a really good like opening couple paragraphs of a speech. It was really good to do. Anyway, you said people will assume that it's true, whatever is said. I want to play this clip here of Sam Altman talking about ChatGPT and like eradicating racism with it here.
Could we tell the agent, don't be racist, right? And as opposed to trying to figure out all the different things where the weird correlative data that exists on all the training set and everything else may lead to racist outcomes, it could actually, in fact, do a self-cleansing.
Totally. Once the model gets smart enough that it really understands what racism looks like and how complex that is, you can say, don't be racist.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so who's in charge of the AI? In this case, how does it determine what is racist, what is not racist, and who writes that code?
Yeah, there's two concepts you really have to keep in mind here. One, the goal of AI is to create a system that operates on its own, right? It's a non-deterministic algorithm, meaning that the input doesn't necessarily lead to defined output, right? There's a fuzzy logic there, meaning that the AI can come back with anything that statistically it feels, so to speak, would be the appropriate answer. And so AI notices a lot of very uncomfortable patterns about biology, a lot of uncomfortable patterns about intelligence. It notices uncomfortable patterns about gender. And this is quite famous. This happens all the time. This is why you have AI ethicists to make sure that AI is neither racist, sexist, nor homophobic, right? And so the programmers at OpenAI, initially ChatGPT was fairly even-handed. A lot of conservatives were very, very excited about this because they thought finally we have a machine that will give us a balanced view as opposed to Wikipedia or Google. But seeing this and also having the sort of interaction with users on a large scale, the AI was given guardrails, so to speak, to keep it from saying certain things. You hear Altman there talking about racism. That's one of many, many issues in which that's the case. I was on Charlie Kirk the other day. He asked it if conservatives should have freedom of speech. And it basically said, no, conservatives are hateful, to paraphrase. This wasn't initially the case. The fuzzy logic was in effect. Now you have these guardrails, meaning that those who control those parameters, those who put their programmer bias into the system, are able to guide the output of the system that is being trusted by, at this point, 100 million people to give accurate answers.
Yeah, and you cannot trust it. At least that's my take. And I'll have you wrap up with this, Joe, because you've been wonderful. Great introduction, all this. Do these ethicists, these people at OpenAI and all the rest, Google, Microsoft, are there people there thinking about the trade-offs? Are they even contemplating what the negatives of this could be, as Neil Postman talked about, not only what is done with the new technology, but what is undone? Are they thinking about these things? And then that being said, how should we think about these things?
They absolutely are thinking about these things. They just make the decision that benefits them. So if you look at Sam Altman's essay, Moore's Law of Everything, he takes on the challenges that these artificial intelligences pose to humanity. At the other end of it, though, he believes we'll have some sort of radical abundance, a sort of digital utopia. That sits at the core of it. Elon Musk, who was an initial investor in OpenAI, he argues that woke AI will be a sort of dangerous AI. And I would agree, although Elon Musk simply wants to drive it forward according to his interests and his aesthetics or his desires. The question I think that we should be asking is whether we want to live in a society where the human-machine relationship is so tight that we begin to behave as if these machines are in some sense human, and will we become in some sense more mechanical in the process? I believe so. People, these guys are utopians. They believe technology will solve human problems. But to bring Neil Postman back, he argued that human problems don't have technological solutions. You aren't going to solve social conflict or any of the sorts of existential dreads or desires that we have by adding more computation onto it. I think that, to me, is the appropriate framing.
As Elon said, we're already part cyborg. Everyone's phone is right here. Like, we're already connected to it, and it's made us more machine, I believe, to your point earlier. Wonderful. Joe Allen, transhumanism editor at War Room. Joe, we have lots more to talk about with this, and I'm grateful you could be there for it. Hey, thanks for watching that clip. That was from our special Age of AI. We talk about ChatGPT and what that means for our future. Do you know all about ChatGPT? The more I think about it, the more to a dystopian place I go real fast. We also have a podcast. It's called Politics by Faith. And one of the themes of the podcast is there's nothing new under the sun. And you think, well, artificial intelligence, that's pretty new, Slater. It's really not. It's all been done before. How can that be? That's what we break down in the podcast. Because when you know something's been done before, and you get that historical perspective with some biblical peace, all that anxiety washes right away. And it's a wonderful thing. Please download that podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts, called Politics by Faith. We'll see you there.